Hi guys, what's up? Thank you so much for watching Mostly Sane. I'm Prajakta. Welcome back to a Real Talk Tuesday video. Again, very special. We've come to Delhi and we're sitting with somebody that I would ideally like to spend a lot of time talking to, but we have some time and I'm very grateful for that. Thank you so much, Bill. How are you?
Good to see you.
It's so good to see you again. I mean, I had the pleasure of very briefly meeting you at Goalkeepers last year and then this morning, but I'm just glad that we get this time to sit down and talk about it. So welcome to India.
Thank you.
Are you having a good time on your trip this time?
Yeah, I was up in Mumbai and out in New Delhi, and yeah, there's a lot of great people here.
Okay, good. We're very happy to have you here. Also, I would like to tell you that a lot of my audience is like really young people between the age of like 11 to say 22, a major chunk of it. So I like to make conversations around a lot of issues that I'm very passionate about, climate change being one of them, but I like to simplify them into like bite-sized pieces so it's easier to consume. So to start with this conversation, I would love to know what is it that you're doing? What are some of the things that you're working on in India?
Well, our foundation, the Gates Foundation, has done a lot of work in health, and so getting new vaccines into the country, helping bring the price down. The government's been our partner, and the progress in reducing child to death has been fantastic. We cut the diarrheal deaths by over 60%. We're cutting maternal mortality. We're understanding about nutrition, how we can do better on that. Through partnership, health here in India has gotten a lot better.
Also, you've always maintained how you believe that climate change and health can't be two different conversations. They are very closely knit. Can you tell us a little about how and why you believe in that?
Yeah, climate, of course, will get worse and worse over time. And particularly if you're near the equator, like India, that'll make it tough to do things outside. It'll make it very tough to grow crops. And of course, if you get less food, a lot of the poorest are farmers, over 70%, and that means their kids get less nutrition. There's a lot of diseases, like mosquito-borne diseases, that are going to show up in places they've never been before. So we have to keep improving health and help people out with better seeds, because today's seeds aren't going to do well.
And you had a detailed chat about that at Goalkeepers last year, I remember, yes, where you got corn.
I got corn,
yes.
Yeah.
Also, like I said, a lot of younger people watching us right now. What's the one thing you feel like a young Indian who needs to actively think about the changes that are happening with climate and with health should keep in mind? What is something that they should always have in mind?
Well, I think they should be hopeful that their generation, by getting involved with science and policy and being advocates, that this is a solvable problem, even though we won't avoid some of the damage, and so we'll have to adapt to some degree. The green industries are going to move quickly. The innovators are in many places, including right here in India. So hopefully they'll see job opportunities and something that can improve the world.
For example, I met Vidyut and Kevin, who are working with one of your fellowship programs when I was here yesterday. And I mean, you will see a detailed video about that. I shot it yesterday, but it is so interesting. And I feel like relatability is such a great point for innovation, especially when it comes to our generation. I really wanted to know, how do you find what to give your attention to when you are speaking for and doing so much work around so many things across the world? How do you prioritize that?
My two big areas are health and climate. Health is the greatest injustice in the world. The fact that, a kid born in a very poor country is 100 times more likely to die than one born in a rich country. So that I put a lot of work into. And then climate, because climate is going to be worse in the countries that did very little to make those emissions. And so, thank goodness, in both areas, innovation can help solve the problem, even get us to our ambitious goals.
Yeah. Also, our last question, I promise. You've always spoken about how we need to look at this problem as a more community issue than just a nuclear issue. When you think about younger people wanting to work towards the climate crisis and help reverse it or things like that, what would you like to tell them? What are some sustainable changes that they can make that you think might help in starting the conversation, even if it's as nuclear as, in their families or in their communities?
Well, all of us, buy products, and over time, whether it's food or a car, there are going to be products that have less of a burden on the climate. Today, some of those are expensive, but innovation is going to make them more and more affordable. And in fact, the more we buy of these things, the more that learning curve makes it cheaper for everyone else. So our voice as consumers will be important. Our voice as voters will be important. Our voice in the workplace, making sure our company is one of the leaders in not using too many resources. And this is such a tough problem. We're trying to get the emissions down in 27 years. There are times when it looks like we won't achieve that. Yeah. Humanity's never done anything this big, which is why it can't just be a few people off in the lab somewhere. It's got to be all of us in all those different roles that we play. So it's great you're engaging people to be part of this movement.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, before I let you go, if you could just tell us what's the one actionable change that you made in your life, not necessarily with being sustainable otherwise, but just going for these goals that when you start working for looks so overwhelming, right? When you look at what's happening around us, the first step is always the gutsiest, because you're like, how will I make a difference to this? So what's the one thing that you always tell yourself where you're like, okay, no, this is why I need to keep doing what I do?
Well, I saw in the computer world with software and personal computers that even wild ideas can come true and have a very dramatic impact. So I bring that same optimism of, if I can find the innovative people who have a new and different idea and help them, give them resources, encouraging them, give them guidance. So that, that experience makes me look, okay, where are the new ideas.
That's lovely. Bill, thank you so much for everything that you do. Also, thank you so much for taking the time out today. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, that was Bill Gates talking about everything that is so important in conversations that need to be made loud and clear over and over again. I really hope that you go to my description box and check out. There's a bunch of links I'm going to share about how you can make yourself maybe volunteer, be a part of these. I'm going to look for a bunch of things that you can volunteer for, but it'll be fine. It'll be great, and we'll be hopeful. Thank you so much. That's all. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big fat thumbs up. I'm going to see you again on Saturday until we meet. Love, love.